Okay, welcome to Team Call Tuesday. It is September 10th, which I literally can't even believe. And I think I say that every week, but I'm just so surprised. It's been a few weeks since we've talked because we've been teaming up with Keisha's team and like Brigida's team to do team calls, which I really love, but I have missed you guys a lot. I'm pulling up my notes because I have a few, quite a bit actually. I was like getting all sweaty, letting it flow. Okay, so this weekend we have our sneak peek into coaching. So that is at Coach Boldly. It's a completely different IG handle that you can invite anybody to follow. And essentially, I have posts that go up. And then if you would like to be someone who does this, I'd prefer if it was someone who has people in the group, because the more, and I'm sure Brenna feels the same way, like the more passwords we give out, IG thinks that like people are like hacking it because it's signing in like all over the country and stuff. So if you have people in the group, then I'll give you the password, and then we just kind of share our whys, and I'll explain that when it gets closer. But essentially, this week, I would encourage you to share some of your big reasons why you're a coach, why you love it, the successes you've had, and even if you just started, you have successes. A lot of times we think like, oh, I haven't made $1 million yet, or I haven't like lost 65 pounds or whatever. We think we compare our journey to someone else's and we think, oh, I don't have anything to share. You have so much to share. So think about who you were before you were a coach, how your life has changed now that you are a coach, and where you're going with this coaching journey, and share all of that. And I answer the questions from the sneak peek on my Instagram stories all week long. But what I feel it does, because one, it would be silly to assume that one person sees every single one of your posts and every single one of your Instagram stories. So I'm sharing the answers already, but then I'm saying like, hey, if you want to be in the sneak peek, follow this account. So I can then see who's like really curious or interested or whatever. It's just allowing you to have something to invite to, because sometimes when we say like, have you thought about being a coach? Like, it's so open-ended, there's no start date. So essentially, blah, 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 we have the coach sneak peek Saturday, and then I'm hosting a webinar on Sunday night. Anybody can invite to that if they want. It's the same one I did last month, same PowerPoint. And, as we grow, we can even team up to like co-host these, whatever. And then Monday night is our new coach call. So anybody who signs up as a coach who wants to be on this call, one that adds pressure a little bit, like, hey, if you're thinking about doing it, like, let's do it, because I have a new coach call Monday night. You're going to want to be on there. And then I just started a message thread on the next day. So it's not like anything crazy, but it's just nice to kind of start all together. And then next Tuesday is our live power hour. Sorry, I'm just muting people as they jump on. Yay for everyone jumping on. So Tuesday is our live power hour. So this basically essentially sets you up to sign coaches and get them started right away with a lot of support. So, hey, here's your new coach call. Boom, information about like Success Club and all that kind of stuff is what we do as a coach. And then boom, Tuesday night team call. Here's the Success Club tracker. Let's do it all together. And as you know, that's kind of it, is action plus time. That's how you build a business. So, and then on the 25th is a Wednesday. We're teaming up again with Brigida's team, because she's going to go over like income and volume and the compensation plan. And as a Legacy Club member, so which means she has made over a cumulative $1 million in the company, she knows the compensation plan very well, and I'm excited to learn from her about that, and I'm sure she'll give tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, also and then Emerald Push on the 30th. So that's kind of announcements in regards to our team page. And then also we have Morning Marathon 100 on sale through the end of the month if you had promo codes. that you earned or that you used in August and then therefore earned new ones in September. Use those or you lose them again. And I'm sure they'll continue to do those promo codes, kind of a thing. And I think that's kind of it for announcements. Again, keep your mind on Summit next year. And Super Saturday or Super Weekend is coming up in October. So not October? I don't even know.
November 2nd.
Oh, okay. I hate when they do it so close to Halloween, but whatever. Halloween is a big deal for me, okay?
Sorry.
Obviously, priorities. Okay, so you can look in your back office. There's like a big tab that says events and then Super Weekend. And then you can find one that's close to you because it's a local thing. Usually you don't have to drive too far. I mean, one time I had to drive 2 hours, but that kind of stunk. But most of the time they're relatively close. Okay, so that's kind of it. So tonight I want to, okay, so Brenna was like, what are we doing for team call? Like, hashtag, like, I know your kids are having a meltdown, but like, hey, what are we doing for team call next week? What are we doing for team call? And I just like didn't really know what I had something on my heart, but I didn't know what it was. And then last night or this morning, I don't even know, it's all a blur. I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about self-doubt because we talk about usually what we need to hear. And I am someone who struggles with self-doubt, like, and limiting belief pretty much all of the time. Besides when I don't know, I guess I'm not always struggling, but that's something that's always coming up and that I'm always actively trying to combat or overcome. And so I always just come up with like titles for team calls. I don't really know why. But so leaning into, what was the title? Leaning into the business when self-doubt is yelling, something like that. I don't know. But basically leaning in when self-doubt is yelling, that's what it is. Because I think that so often when we're feeling anxiety and we're feeling stress about essentially, anything, but essentially the business, what we do is we freeze. And then we don't do anything, and then that makes it worse. So I'm someone who has anxiety, and I mean, it really came up mostly after children. I think a lot of it has to do with my hormones, but when I do nothing, it gets worse. Like, it gets actively worse. But it's not always a quick fix. It's not always like, oh, I'm just going to go for a walk and then I'm going to feel so much better. No, a lot of times with anxiety and the things that I go through, I have to kind of really work my way through it. And so it's not as easy as just being like, oh, I'm just going to send an invite and then all my self-doubt will go away. But it is that you have to do something. So I wish I had like a stand for my phone. So I'm basically, a lot of what I'm going to say tonight is about my experience. I don't think everyone struggles with self-doubt as much as maybe I do. But I know that it 100% comes up at different times. And I always use her as an example, but like Brenna is not as emotional as I am. So that is not something that maybe she is fighting every day, but we have both talked each other off the ledge with self-doubt 100%, but it just shows up in different ways. So my experience okay. So in our business, when we're hustling in our business, when we really want this, when we really want to grow, what do we have to do? We have to be consistent and we have to share our truth. And then we have to show up before we see the rewards. This is not a business. If we wanted to have a hourly part-time job, we would go get a job somewhere and you'd clock in and then you'd earn X amount of hours. That is not how this business works. However, the reward is so much higher because you work really hard in the beginning and then the rewards come later, as long as you keep going. But if you stop or if you keep stopping off and on, then the rewards don't come as easily. It's kind of like this stall kind of a thing. So that's hard, right? When you're having self-doubt, it is hard to continue to show up when you're like, oh my gosh, like my inner mean girl is so mean right now. She is saying all the mean things. So I don't know if anyone has listened to this book or read this book, but Mastering Your Mean Girl is really great. And I'm going to kind of reference some of the things she says. It's by Marissa Ambrosini. She's like Australian and her accent is adorable. But she just talks about, basically, she puts a name to anxiety. She says it's your inner mean girl, and your inner mean girl says really mean things, and it makes you want to feel small. She makes you want to feel like you're not enough. And basically what I'm like putting this all together as is that it's fear. Is that fear is in all of us. It's like you just have it. And I also, because me and PD read this book like years ago about fear and how we have this, it's just in us because we have an instinct to stay alive. And so the fear, the primal instinct of fear came when like legit we were making sure we weren't eaten by a lion or like clubbed over the head. Like that is why we have fear, when like they can trace it back. However, one scientist would do such a thing. They can trace it back to, it's the same thing that like an animal has. And so our fear is there, but it's there so we don't get eaten. It is there so that you literally still stay alive. It's the same instinct of like wanting to make a baby, like, and you're like, why is this instinct here? It's just like hormonal, and like it's just there at certain times of the month. These are like legit things. So fear is there to keep you safe. But now nobody's trying to eat you. Nobody's trying to eat me. Like there's no, I will assume in this state of America, nobody is fearing for their life, that something's going to happen right outside. There's not that level of anxiety. So we have to acknowledge that that's what's going on, and that self-doubt and fear and all of these things are kind of, and the inner mean girl are all wrapped together, and they're telling you something, but you have to quiet them. You have to quiet it and keep leaning into what you have to do, because action builds confidence. So what happens is when we're not feeling confident, and we're like doing this business, and you're like, okay, wait, so you want me to keep inviting even though everybody has either not answered me or said no? And I'm like, yeah, girl, I really need you to keep going. And it's really kind of, you're like, okay, but self-doubt is like totally coming up in your belly. And what happens is the mean girl is like, you know what? Maybe you're not meant to grow this business. You know what? I think you should go back. For me, this is my experience. I think you should go back to teaching, because that was a really great, safe paycheck. You knew what to expect, and you could plan out the next X amount of years of your life. Totally, you could plan that out. And Sam, who do you think you are trying to go big? Who do you think you, look at her getting a little too big for her britches. That's my favorite line when Brene Brown says that in Power of Vulnerability. It's like my favorite when she says that. Look at you getting too big for your britches. That's what your mean girl sounds like. So when we get into this business, we start to see that like you have a dream. And my favorite thing, yeah, I know Rachel and I like totally get chills on this because it's like the same. So you come into this business and you have a dream, and whatever that is, everybody's dream for life is different, but you come in and no other company says, hey, the first thing you need to do every single day is take care of you. Literally your mind, your body, and your soul. That's it. And Shanna said that on our call last week or whenever we talked last, and she was like, what company says that? And it's like, hey, it's not even like you have to take a pill or you have to do a thing or whatever. If you wanted to recreate, and the creator of Shakeology will always say, I was making Shakeology. Like she was creating and making Shakeology in her house, going to farmers markets and going to Whole Foods and all the really expensive places, and it was costing massive amounts of money. Nothing what we are saying is a quick fix. And so a lot of the times we come into a fit camp or in a challenge group and we feel incredible. Like for me, I was like, I've never felt so supported and so healthy and so clear and so happy before in my life. And so we're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I see my coach doing it. I see on Instagram this girl doing it. She's retiring. She's on a beach. Look at her. This coach looks so happy. She's on a beach all the time. I want to do it. So whatever your dream is, in this business, it doesn't have to be your entire life. And I would encourage it to not be your whole life, because then you can connect with women on lots of different ways, on all the different things you love, like hobbies and whatever. But if you hustle in this business for seriously if you hustle for 4 to 5 years, you can literally change the trajectory of your life. And I'm not saying like then you quit coaching and it's all over, but I mean, if you hustle, and that's what Brigida did. And now like she's, you know, she doesn't work as hard. She's for sure a multimillionaire, and her husband now was able to leave his job and open his own business that he loves and he has passion. So whatever your dream is, even if you love your job and you have no desire to leave your job, you could build this and then legit cushion your kids' college funds. It doesn't matter. So you have this dream, and like for me, I'm a dreamer. Like I'm totally a daydreamer, like hopeless romantic, like that kind of a thing. And I'll coming into this business, I really was like, oh my gosh, I can have all the little things that I wanted to have, like when I was little, that I dreamed of, that then honestly, like adulthood stripped away from me. Like it was like, oh, actually you can't do that. You definitely don't have enough money for that. And I was like, meh, meh. Then I was like, oh, you actually can't do that because your teaching salary will literally never get that high. And I was like, meh, meh. And so when I came into this business, the ability to dream and hope was enough. But that mean girl, she comes up. And so the self-doubt, let's talk about her. So she's trying to keep you safe. And so in like modern society, it's not like, hey, a bear is going to eat you or a tiger is going to eat you. It's like the unexpected is unknown, therefore it is scary. The expected is known, and therefore it is scary. So a lot of times people stay in really unhappy situations on all levels because at least they can expect it. They know what to expect. For teaching, for me, I could stay even though I wasn't fulfilling any other part of my life or dream that I wanted, but at least I was safe. My rent was paid, food was on the table, that kind of thing. And so like think about it in relationships. We all know somebody who's in a relationship, or like she's not here so I can say, but like my best friend was in this like nasty relationship for a long time, but he wasn't really awful. But at least she knew what to expect with him. And so, you know, and then ultimately she figured it out, and now she's with another great guy and he's awesome. But we always talk about that. Like she was like, I just got comfortable. I just felt like I knew what to expect. And so it was better than going out and being like, oh, I don't even know. So being an entrepreneur, that's hard because you're riding the roller coaster of unexpected all of the time. But the reward is so much greater than anything else. So here's what self-doubt does. What I feel she does is that she disguises herself as intuition. And so sometimes what happens is we get these little whispers, and they say things like what I just said. Hey, you know what? Nobody wants to hear from you today. Nobody wants to hear from you today. You know what? She's going through something. Maybe don't message her right now. Don't invite her right now. And we think, oh my gosh, I have this little voice inside of me, so I should probably listen to her because I'm a woman and we all have that intuition. And we sometimes listen to that voice, right? You know, when you're walking in the parking lot with your kids and you have that like that feeling of like, oh my gosh, something's going on. And that's intuition. That's like something's about to happen. And then the self-doubt is your nasty mean girl. I can't see this, but my instinct is if they say no. Oh wait, work on changing that. I get a message back from an invite. My instinct is that they say no. Oh, like you haven't even looked at it yet, but you're just automatically thinking they say no. Well, yes, 100%. Or you don't even want to open it because you don't even want to know, which is what Rachel and I both do, Rachel W. And we just have to get over that. So I was trying to think of this. Are there children? Is Evie right there? She's gone. She's gone now. Okay. So your mean girl is a bitch. Okay. Like your mean girl is a bitch. I have that in my notes in caps underlined. But intuition is like a real thing. And the difference is that intuition tries to make you feel safe. Hi. Why are you all here? Mama. Hi. No, go downstairs. Mama. No. Look at me. Do you want me to turn that off? Do you want me to turn it off? Go watch it. She didn't have a nap today. So intuition What did I just say? Stop. This was like such a good line, Cami. Okay, intuition tries to make you feel safe, where self-doubt tries to make you feel fear. So the difference is that when you have an intuition, it will show up even if you are scared. So an intuition is like when you're going into a job interview or you're signing up as a coach and you're like, hey Carter, can you go get your tablet, please? Hashtag my life. So when you're going into a job interview, intuition, you'll feel fear, right? You're feeling scared. You're signing up for a coach. You're feeling scared. However, you have this feeling that says, it's okay, keep going. It's okay, keep going. You're scared, I'm here with you. It makes you feel safe and it wants to comfort you. Where your mean girl is going to make you feel fear so you run. It's going to make you think all the bad things that could happen when probably none of them are going to happen. Worst case scenario, someone says no. Worst case scenario, you read the first few lines and somebody is nasty and you block them. That's it. That is literally worst case scenario in this business. Worst case scenario is that you get ridiculously healthy at a discounted rate. Nobody joins you. That is worst case, which is a pretty good worst case. Lots of different risks in this world that you could take that are going to have you way more out on a limb. Best case scenario, you push through self-doubt, you push through the confusion, learning how to post, what the heck is a hashtag, you connect with women, build a amazing tribe, and ultimately tap into all the dreams that you thought you and wanted your whole life. So things your mean girl could say that sound different. Okay, great. Do your tablet. Like in this like transition phase of like, do I nap you? Do I not nap you? And I'm not winning any scenario. Just so we're all clear, because if I nap her, she's up till 10. If I don't nap her, this is what happens because homegirl's so tired. So anyways, she can say certain things that sound really different. And I already kind of like went through some of them, but ultimately she wants you to feel small. She wants you to feel not good enough. And she's like the crab. I don't know if you've heard of the crab analogy. It's like one of my favorites. It's in The Compound Effect, which is one of the first books that I listened to as a coach. And for those of you who have not heard it, I will share that when a crab like crawls into a crab trap, it's open. So in theory, it could just crawl out of the trap. Like there's no, I don't know traps well enough to know, like not like one of those claw ones you see like with a bear, like where you're stuck. It's an open trap, but they follow the crowd. And so if a crab tries to be like, hey guys, there's like a hole right there, let's just like crawl right on out and like go swim in the ocean. The other crabs are like, no homeboy, and they literally pull it down and like rip its legs off. Because people want you to stay safe and stay, it's not even safe, but stay with the crowd, because if you're with the crowd, you're doing what most people are doing, and then you're doing what's expected. When people know what to expect from you, they feel safer. When you are doing what you've always done in life, this routine of whatever it is, this merry-go-round that you go through of your life, at least you know what to expect. It's expected anxiety. So it's expected anxiety for me that around the first of the month, I'm like a little bit having a breakdown, because that's when all the bills are due. It is officially expected anxiety, and I effing hate it. But that's it. And so I'm trying to break this cycle of, instead of just being like, well, at least I know what to expect. Instead, it's at least I know what to expect, and now I know what to do to change it. I know when I need to hustle. I know what I need to do to make it better. But most of us are just on the merry-go-round. And that's what coaching breaks. It breaks the merry-go-round, and it says, hey, in regards to you and your journey, hey, there are no diets. This is just what you do now. Break the cycle and enjoy your life. Then what you can offer that to other people. Same thing with your business and your life. Hey, you being frustrated with money, being frustrated with your marriage, or being frustrated with your friendship, or being frustrated with being unfulfilled at your job, this merry-go-round you live on, let's break the cycle and let's do something about it. Have Beachbody grow this business, this massive business. It doesn't have to be massive like your top 10, just massive in regards to you are leaving massive impact. Unless you want to be top 10, then go for it, please. But it's about massive impact so that then you can live the life you've always wanted to live. And she will still be there. Your inner mean girl will always still be there. But it's different when you know she's there and you're like, homegirl, I have you on check. If you decide to speak up, I will squish you. That's fine. But if you don't know and acknowledge that she's there, we take what she's saying and we confuse it with that intuition. And we're like, oh, but I have this feeling. I have this feeling that I just shouldn't do it right now. And then when we stop taking action, when we freeze, then it's like that reverse. It is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you're like, when she whispers, nobody wants to join your team. And then you stop inviting and do nothing. Then you're like, see, I didn't sign any coaches this month. Well, homegirl, you didn't sign any coaches this month because you didn't invite anybody to coaching. Not because they don't want to join your teams, because you didn't ask anybody. And so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what happens is when self-doubt is screaming, and self-doubt has been screaming, we have never had this many people on our team hustling as hard as this. It is scary for me. I've been a coach for 4 years, and for 2 years, I let the mean girl run the show. She was in the driver's seat, and I was just sitting in the passenger, and I was like, when you think it's a good idea, mean girl, I'll invite, but when you think it's not so great, I'll just sit here and be quiet. And so my business grew 0%. Really did. I learned a lot, and I'm glad because now I know all the things what not to do. But the mean girl is still there, and she came up. I'm in 2-star qualification right now. It is officially the longest 6 weeks of my life ever since I was in 1-star qualification. It is scary and it is hard, and makes me have all the weird feelings. And I know Brandon knows too, like, it's like you're gaining weight because you're eating Oreos, but yet you're sweating the weight off because you're like dying all the time. Because it's just new. And so whether you're in qualification or not, maybe you're pushing as hard as you've ever pushed so you can make Success Club. It's the same first time. The first time you really want something and you go for it, it's scary. And the mean girl is going to come up and say, she says to me, who do you think you are trying to lead all these people? Who do you think you are? You don't know what you're doing. Quiet now, quiet down. Because I do know what I'm doing. I know a lot of things. And I have to remind myself of that, or it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then we're on the merry-go-round. We don't want to be on the merry-go-round. We want to be on the roller coaster. So when she's yelling at you, when homegirl is saying all the mean things, and only she knows the things that really hurt you because she's you, and you subconsciously know the things that really hurt your heart. And honestly, I couldn't even come up with examples because they're so individual of what your true biggest fear is. And not your biggest fear like, oh, it won't work, but like when your self-worth is on the line, that's what she puts on the line. She puts your self-worth. She says, you're not good enough for this. Like, she makes you feel so small and so awful, and she's just so nasty. She's just such a bitch, right? So when she's yelling, when she's saying things, what you have to do is completely against your instinct. You have to go harder. So we freeze. When anxiety comes up, when self-doubt starts whispering, then she starts talking, then she starts yelling, we say, okay, hold on. Now, there is a difference between taking a breather, gathering your thoughts, and coming right back in. That is, I encourage that because we're hustling a lot, right? We got like mommy, we got full-time jobs, we got like a dream, we're hustling, we're Rachel Hollising it, we're like listening to personal development, we're doing our workout, it's constant. So there's nothing wrong with being like, okay, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fuel my soul. I'm gonna take today, I'm gonna do all the things that fill me up, fill my cup, and then tomorrow I'm back at it, or Monday I'm back at it. There is nothing wrong with that. But when we react to self-doubt and limiting belief, all of that, and we freeze, and then we just stand there paralyzed, and we're like, I'm not really doing anything. This is what I do. I lay on the couch and I do nothing all day, and I just stress and I just spin, and I'm not really feeling better because I'm not paying attention to my kids more. So I'm not feeling like, oh, you know what, today I just took the necessary time to be with my kids, or I'm not being with my husband more, or I'm not tending to the house because maybe that's overwhelming me, and I'm not doing my business. So anxiety just increases. The only thing that is going to decrease your anxiety and decrease your self-doubt and increase your confidence is action. Action builds confidence. And you can choose what actions you need to do. Some days, yeah, you're going to have to hustle. Netflix shows cannot be always the priority. Once a week, once a week, what does she say in Power of Vulnerability? She's like, I am Downton Abbey. She's like, so the house can burn down, but on Thursday nights, I am watching. Like, I encourage that. Have something you love that fuels you. But if you're binge watching, like I have done, to avoid my life and to avoid my dreams, the 13 reasons why, like in a embarrassingly short amount of time, there's a problem. That's not fueling. Or when I was real deep in anxiety, you know what I downloaded on my phone? SimCity. Okay? SimCity. I haven't even had that thing since like I had like a Mac, like a old school when they were like orange. You know what I'm talking about? Like, that is what I got because I was like, you know what? I literally don't want to deal with any part of my life. So I'm going to download an online game that like is like super like for me who comes from a family of addiction, like that kind of stuff, like Candy Crush, like that is like my jam. Like addicted, check. So I know that I can't even download that stuff because I will literally be like, how much money to pay for the $5, you know what, you have to wait 5 minutes on Candy Crush or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, take my money. Like I was pregnant with Carter and I was like, this is out of control. This is legit out of control. So anyways, so when she's talking, when self-doubt comes up, you cannot freeze. You take a breath, you make a plan, and you do something. And then you have to do the thing harder. If not, you go on the merry-go-round, and then the self-doubt becomes your self-fulfilling prophecy. And then it's super easy to be like, see, nobody wants to join my challenge group. Nobody wants to join my team. This was such a bad idea. I don't even like Shakeology. I mean, yeah, it totally made me like poop regularly, and I am like way clearer. But I mean, is it even really worth it? Like, girl, we know the answer. We know it's worth it. We've done the research. We've done the things, but we want any excuse to get us back to at least we're safe and expected. In a job where you're making salary, even if you're not happy, at least you can expect it. No, we're not doing that. So you have to do the things harder. When your brain is like, you know what, maybe don't invite today. Nobody wants to hear from you. You need to do more invites. You need to, honestly, you have to shut her up. You have to say, take control and say, I'm not listening to you. I'm doing what I know I have to do. Essentially prove her wrong. And I thought of Brenna when I wrote that note because she's like real, like that, like fuels her. And I think that there's an Enneagram part. I need to look at hers because I was listening to Keisha's podcast and she was talking about that, like proving them, like that's like a super motivation for some people of like, I'll prove you wrong. Like, don't tell me this ain't gonna work because I'm gonna prove you wrong. So prove them wrong. And then run through, for me, it helps to run through all the worst case scenarios. So what is the worst case scenario if I send 50 invites out today? The worst case scenario is that 50 people ghost me. Am I going to die if 50 people ghost me? No. What is the best case scenario? Best case scenario? Like seriously, I ask myself, am I going to die? Am I going to die? Am I going to get really sick? Is something going to happen? No, 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 no. Best case scenario, 50 people say, yes, I desperately need help. I'm really struggling. Can you help me? And then I impact 50 people's lives. Usually the result is somewhere in the middle. Some people ghost you, some people say no, and some people say, yeah, I'd actually really like to hear about your fit camp. I've been watching you and I really need some motivation. That's usually what happens. So run through the worst case scenario. What happens if this week you invited, think of a scary number for yourself. If you invited X amount of people, 50 people, 10 people, 100 people, 300 people to our sneak peek because you want to build an empire, because you want to solve this puzzle of entrepreneurship, right? because it's like such a puzzle and it's fun and it's scary. But I think if I keep building this, I could retire my husband, or we could move into our dream home. We could build our dream home. We could, whatever your dream is. Best case scenario is that happens. So what happens if you invite that many people to the sneak peek? Worst case scenario, they all say no. And even in the worst case scenario, if everyone says no, most of the time, then they watch you. That's what happens, you guys. You invite and they watch you. So nobody says yes on the first time. How long did it take you to say yes? How long did you watch me? How long did you watch your coach? How long did you think about it? How long did your self-doubt say, hey, what's, like whatever the fear is that's coming up? It is, there is no worst case in this business, because you have to plant the seed and you have to go for it. So we have a goal, right? Five-star diamond minimum, elite coach. Woo! Makes me want to poop myself. If you want to be diamond, if you want to be 1-star, if you want to be 2-star, if you want to be in the legacy club, if you want to be 15-star, you are going to have to invite a massive amount of people. So you cannot be scared at the one person that you're looking at in your Instagram messages. You have to just send it. You have to just send it and move on, and tell your girlfriend, that inner meter girl, Pam, we'll call her Pam, or Susie Sue. That's what we called her all last year. Remember, Brenna? Tell her to shut up. Tell her to shut up. Because the only person that matters, only person that opinion matters is you. Maybe your spouse, a little bit your kids, but not really. It's you. It's like you. And if you're doing something and you're building something with integrity and love and heart, and at the core of what we do is let me help you. So someone can't get a challenge pack, but you hook them up with BOD. Still such a huge win. Such a huge win. Stephanie's going to watch this recording. She said no to Shakeology for 2 years. She was in my challenge groups. Now she's a rockin' coach. She got people started right away. She's working on her journey. She just had her 3rd baby. Like, such a win. Then you have to squish comparison. So whatever is in your head about where you should be or where you think you should be by now in your coaching journey, in your fitness journey, you need to tell it to be quiet. Bye. Doesn't matter. So many coaches signed up the exact same time that I signed up as a coach. They are speaking on the National Wake Up Call. They are telling all their successes. 2015 was a huge year for coach signups. It used to really hurt my heart that all these people were doing the things and having the success, but their journey is not my journey. My life is not their life. They have different struggles that I don't know about, and I have had the struggles that I have had. And so it doesn't matter where someone else is, what someone else posts look like, how much they've made, how much they've lost. It doesn't matter. Your blinders are on your journey. If you are struggling with comparison, you need to unfollow all coaches. All coaches. If you struggle with comparison with me, you need to unfollow me. And at different times, you're going to struggle with comparison with different people. I have followed some coaches that I have loved and like met in person, like Brigitte. I love her. If they are not inspiring you and motivating you to get to work, you need to unfollow them, period, point blank. And if someone inspires you and motivates you, pick 2. That's it. If you are spending your time on Instagram watching other coaches, you are not building a business. You're just a fan club to a bunch of people who are trying to build a business. And just like when I go through my stories, love them, but I have random coaches who follow me. Girlfriend, go watch someone else's story. Go watch a story of someone who you can help change their lives. And I don't mean like in our team. I mean like legit random people from, I think they're like from when I did Brigitte's team call. So, I mean, that's fine. But again, just like go watch other people's. And then I strategically watch yours because you're my team. I love you. It's my job to help and support you. But like, I am like, okay, I need to check on this person, this person, this person today. This person, this person, this person today. It's strategic. I'm running a business. So comparison has to go. And if the temptation is there, Sam's story is like my morning newspaper. Do you like how John scared me today? Legit. Almost peed my pants. Almost peed my pants, you guys. when I went downstairs, he wasn't even out of bed yet. It was like he jumped up like a spring chicken. Like usually he has a back injury. Usually like really has to like warm up. He has to like kind of roll over. And then I thought it was like totally good to take my pre-workout before he would even be downstairs. Anyways, so you have to squish the comparison because again, nobody has walked the same life you have walked. So for me, I can't wait for one day to be on stage somewhere telling the story of how I was crippled with self-doubt, crippled with limiting belief, went to New Leader Conference and looked at Brenna and said, I think I shouldn't have been invited here. I actually think that there's a mix-up because my limiting belief was so big. Brigida just invited me to her retreat. I earned it. Guys, I earned this retreat. And I still was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to invite me? Because Keisha was invited and Homegirl is pretty amazing. And Brigida was like, Sam, you earned it. You're invited. Like, nicely be quiet. You know what I mean? Like, it is hard, but that's my story. So maybe someone else who came out of the gate running and grew a bigger business faster, their story is different. Their struggles came later. And I don't know why. I used to follow Bonnie Engel all the time. I loved her so much because she was just such a powerhouse. And I really like almost unhealthily idolized her. And then I stopped following her for a while. And then in a great way, it humbled me because she has struggled a lot in her business and in her life since she had a baby. And not because I want Bonnie Engel to struggle, but it just shows that everyone is going to struggle. It is just going to look different and happen at a different time than you. So it is impossible for you to compare your journey to their journey. So comparison needs to go away because when your mean girl sees you in comparison, she really gets loud. That is like, she feels like she is like, you have stretched her and she is ready to go with a megaphone. So you can't do it. And then honor your journey. Wherever you are right now in this journey, be proud of yourself. A lot of people are too scared to even start a business. A lot of people think about it and never do it. And you are brave enough to start. You're brave enough to keep showing up. You're brave enough to handle the no's, to figure it out. Like that is something to celebrate. It is celebration. If you've gotten one person signed up with BOD, or if you've made Success Club, or you got a check, it doesn't matter. It's success if you stuck to a fitness journey longer than you've ever stuck to before. If all of the things, look for your journey and honor exactly where you're at, because it doesn't matter where anyone else is at. It matters where you are at. It's you versus you, and not in a negative way, in a healthy competition way. Every month we're just trying to be better. Every day we're just trying to be better. Every week. That's it. Celebrate every single win you have and share that on your social media. Because a lot of times, see, we follow all the coaches, right? We follow them. Nobody else knows who the top coach is unless you're a coach. Nobody knows. So like when you're like, well, I can't share because Homegirl on my team just made X amount of dollars. Nobody's following Homegirl on your team. They're only following you. So, yes, like your Bob. Well, I mean, if you want to follow Jericho's pretty cool. She's not a coach, so she's not like building the business. She is pretty awesome. And I did just get my email for my bobblehead, and I'm pretty pumped about that. But celebrate every win and share it. So if you feel after this call like this sense of warmth and fun and friendship, share that. If on Thursday you make $20, share that. If you had a great week because you meal prepped, or you got all your workouts in, or you feel really great because you're pooping regularly. Hello, I share that all the time. Like share whatever wins are your wins, or your cravings are down. Because I know not everybody is just into Shakeology for the probiotics. Some people like it for cravings and other stuff, but me, probiotics all day, every day. So, and then act like you already made it. So what is your goal right now? Don't think, just speak out loud or in your head. What is your goal? Like, what do you want to join the Legacy Club as a coach? Do you want to be 5-star? Do you want to be elite? Do you want to be 15-star? Maybe you don't even know because this is new and scary, but you want something big. Act like you're already big. If you're a team of 1 or a million, act like you have already made it. Look, I made it. That's like my favorite song right now. act like you already made it. And I heard this on a Lindsay Matway. When I first started, Lindsay Matway is the highest ranked, highest earning coach there is. Like, she is basically the unicorn. I mean, she will not stay that way. Someone else will achieve this rank, because I believe once success has happened, it will happen again. But she is someone who didn't have a coach, didn't have an upline. She built everything on her own. And she was like, when I had nobody, I acted like I had 100 people in my inbox ready to say yes. So I do that when someone is like, I'm not ready. I can't, you know, I'm like, that's okay, girl. I got you when it's time. You know, inside I'm like, please, I just want to make success. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're thinking all the things, but you act like it. And then today, a girl just signed up with a challenge pack who I've been talking to for months, and she said, thank you for being so patient with me. That has been a phrase that has come up repeatedly in the last whatever. Even if, like, a girl who, she's just rocking our challenge groups and she didn't want to become a discount coach, because she then opened up today about, she was a part of another MLM. She was a part of, like, Jamboree, and then went bankrupt, and she, like, literally couldn't cancel her account. And it was like such a thing. And so she has anxiety. So today we talked it through, and she goes, thanks for being so patient with me, twice in one day. So when you hear things from the universe, when it's not your mean girl, don't listen to her. She's a bitch. Sorry. Ooh, Tiffany's kid. But when you hear things, lean into them. Lean into them. Okay, what I'm hearing is that I'm being patient and it's working. And I'm being patient and it's working. And I just need to keep going. So act like you already made it. Act like you have 100 people in your inbox who are ready to sign up. And you're like, that's cool, girl. I'll come back to you. I'll swing back around. And then you mark them and you come back. But that's how it works. And Amy Silverman said it. She was like, or Emily Favre, everybody, and me too. Guys, I have hosted team calls for like years. Sometimes nobody would show up. Nobody. And I would host the call all by myself. And I'd record it and I would send it to nobody, but it was there in case somebody wanted to show up. And it was practice. It was practice. The muscles that you are strengthening right now are preparing for the weight that you will hold one day. But you cannot just be gifted $1 million team. You cannot just be gifted a 15-star diamond team, because you would literally drop it. You do not have the muscles to hold it. So you are strengthening the muscles to hold the weight of whatever the goal is. But as long as you decide that wherever you're going is actually going to happen, that it is fact, that it doesn't matter what anyone says, what any mean girl says to you, it is fact. It is just inevitable. It doesn't matter when, because it will happen. You just have to decide. So when that self-doubt, mean girl biatch starts talking, you have to lean into it, lean into the actions, lean into the business, do the things, because action builds confidence. And the more confident you are, the quieter she'll be. That's all I have. But if anyone has any questions, 6:50, I rambled for 50 minutes. Funny. If anyone has any questions or anything they want to say, or whatever, I just want you to know that when you're pushing, especially for the first time, or maybe for the longest amount of time you've ever pushed, your mean girl will be the loudest, because that's just how it works. Like, when you're going through it, hard doesn't ever go away. Hard will just look different. And so we have a lot of people on this team who are pushing, who believe in a bigger mission, who believe in themselves and are pushing. And so I know for a fact that means a lot of mean girls are yelling in our heads, in our hearts. And we just have to come together, because when you feel alone, then sometimes we listen to her. But if we feel like we're on this mission together and we're all doing it together and we're all getting the no's and we're all like, I don't even know what to do. What is a preset? What is that thing? If we all are like, oh my gosh, we're just on this journey together, then it feels like you can attack it. So know that you have a team of women, whether you're on live or you're watching the recording, you have a team of women to lean into. Nobody is alone. Nobody is alone. And if we don't know each other yet, let's get to know each other. If you see someone on the team who, our team is the best. If you see someone on the team that you're like, oh my gosh, she is so cool, I promise you, tell her and she'll message you back and be like, oh my gosh, I think you're so cool. Like, I mean, that is just how it happens. Like, no, we're all just women who want more. We're all just women who were made for more. And instead of thinking about it, we're doing something about it. So now that's for real. Just what I have. Yeah, but we can take a picture. I mean, I think from the chat, people feel fired up. Brenna, can you tell me where you are? I know you've Oxford me, but I didn't have a chance to listen. Oh, you're getting your nails done.
Yes.
Okay.
Committed. Nails done on the team call. Thank you, Sam. That was money. I needed that.
Oh, good. When you tilted it, then I saw a girl getting a pedicure. But at first I was like, is she at a cafe or something? Like, I just didn't know.
Yes, we're getting my obnoxious blue nails done.
Good. Good for you. Okay, let's do a picture. Oh, I think Rachel's already handling it. Someone handling it? Oh. And Rachel's hair is all pretty. Rachel W. versus Rachel. She has a big day tomorrow. Planning.
Is someone going to count? Because I'm not. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Sarah.
How we do?
Oh, Brenna, I cut your face off. Can we do one more? Sorry.
It's all right. I am not that attractive today, so it's fine.
You are beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And 4, 5? Yep, thanks, Bart. All right, I'm going to go check on the screaming child I locked in her room. And I love you guys. And do the thing. Invite to the sneak peek this weekend. Build your team. Build your legacy. Love you.
Bye.